This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 6th day of June in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Exxon Guyana raked in more than $1.1 trillion in revenue last year, according to its just released annual report. The oil giant, according to that report, generated $752.7 billion in profit before tax, with its total operating expenditures accounting for more than $356.1 billion. The company also recorded $614.5 billion in profit. The records show that the company paid the government of Guyana just over $21.9 billion in royalties. At the company's Kingston office today, Exxon Guyana Vice President and Business Services Manager Phil Rietma told reporters that with the start-up of the Prosperity FPSO in November last year, gross production increased by 41% and total revenue by 26% when compared to 2022, despite lower oil prices. In 2022, the company had generated $876.8 billion in revenue, while the profit after tax stood at $577.7 billion. The official said undoubtedly last year was another profitable year for Exxon Guyana.
2023, as you can see in the financial statements, was another profitable year. We increased our profits year over year to around 600 billion Guyanese dollars. It's reflective of building on the success of prior years. As we noted, we brought online the Prosperity FPSO. We also had a full year of the Unity FPSO, so production was up year over year, and it's profitable production.
The vice president explained that Exxon Guyana will continue to make substantial investments in the country. To date, it has invested over $3 trillion in its operations here in Guyana. And together with its co-venturers, $6 trillion has been invested in the Stabroek Block. By 2027, it intends to make an additional investment of more than $5 trillion.
We've been here since 1999. Next week will mark 25 years since we signed the original contract, and yet this year was just the third year of profits over those 25 years. And as we discussed today, we continue to invest heavily in Guyana. Exxon Guyana alone has invested around 3 trillion Guyanese dollars in the Stabroek Block. With our partners, it's around 6 trillion Guyanese dollars, and with future projects that are already approved and committed, that will reach $11 trillion, and we're still exploring and we're still looking for additional development opportunities.
And it was noted too that the company's assets and equity have also increased significantly, signaling its strong financial position in the country and its ability to meet its obligations. Assets increased by 44%.
We have assets of over 3 trillion Guyanese dollars. We have equity of over 2 trillion Guyanese dollars. We are financially strong, and we're getting stronger year after year as we continue to invest in profitable projects.
The company said with growing production, the government lifted 17 million barrels of profit oil. When combined with a 41% increase in cash royalty payments, Exxon Guyana said it delivered approximately $338 billion to the Natural Resource Fund last year. Overall, more than $900 billion has been injected into the Natural Resource Fund since oil production began in 2019. By the end of last year, oil production averaged more than 600,000 barrels per day. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
chance of a lifetime with Lucosade Energize Your Drive promotion. Enter to win a fully loaded Toyota CHR or a ton of cash. $500,000 and $250,000 respectively. Just purchase 2 or more Lucosade 360 milliliter at participating outlets. Write your contact details on the back of the receipt and place them in the marked boxes nationwide. It's that simple. And you're on your way to energize your drive with Lucosade. This promotion runs April 12th to June 7th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply.
The Father's Day Cultural Extravaganza is here again. Yes, it's dedication to Daddy 5, A Father's Dream 2. Featuring Marissa Morgan Bonney, Romel Edmondson, Keisha Sam, Delisha Wright, Simone Dowding, Jolyon Harry, Colin Ambrose, Mosa Telford, Frederick Minty, Antoine De Silva, Ryan Headley, Creative Arts Dance Troupe, and others. On Sunday, June 16 from 8 p.m. at the National Cultural Center. Tickets are $2,500. Directed by Sharon Cadogan-Taylor.
The Guyana Police Force this evening announced that 3 persons, including a mother and daughter, have been charged in connection with that large gold bust which took place at the Chedijagan Airport earlier this week. 44-year-old Ian Jacobis, 52-year-old Shamina Ahmad, and 34-year-old Ashiana Salamali appeared at a Diamond Magistrates Court today, where they were all charged for the offense of exporting gold without a license, in contravention of Section 8 of the Guyana Gold Board Act, Chapter 6601, and contrary to Section 23 of the same Gold Board Act. The 3 accused appeared before Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman, and they all pleaded not guilty to the charge. Bail was granted in the sum of $600,000 each, with the condition that Ian Jacobis lodges his passport at a Diamond Magistrates Court and reports to the clerk every first Friday of the month, while Shamina Ahmad and Ashiana Salmali are to report to the clerk every Friday pending the outcome of the matter. The matter was adjourned until the 18th of June. The 3 were held at the airport with more than $560,000 worth of gold, disguised as silver-plated jewelry, in their possession. With Guyana's gold declarations, especially from small and medium-scale miners, under decline, Vice President Barrett Jagdeo today warned miners who are refusing to sell their gold to the Guyana Gold Board in keeping with regulations that the government will be going after them. At his press conference, Mr. Jagdeo said the government remains very concerned about the performance of the gold mining sector, one of Guyana's main export earners. He said the government can now confirm that many miners are not selling their gold to the Gold Board in an effort to evade taxes.
We believe now that we're starting to, or we have enough evidence about some of the people who are involved, and you're going to see additional activities against them. And so I'm saying this to them again, because you're going to, if you're doing this, desist from doing it, because the full force of the law would be instituted against you. And I would even advocate that we amend the law to institute even more severe penalties on people who have done this.
Both the government and the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association have raised concern about illegal mining operators who also rob the state of revenue and negatively impact gold declarations.
We're still very concerned about what's happening in the market, and we believe that people are not selling to the Gold Board to avoid the taxes. And we believed at that time that it was organized and that it was having an impact because many of the legitimate dealers were saying to us that people were offering rates beyond what the market can sustain, even beyond what the international market price was.
Vice President Jagdeo said the government is aware of some of the key players who are evading taxes, and law enforcement will be going after them. He also said the recent gold seizure at the airport is just a tip of the iceberg of what is to come. Earlier this week, 3 persons were nabbed at the Chedijagan airport attempting to smuggle more than $500,000 worth of gold out of the country. A 24-year-old man from Seafield, Sophia here in Georgetown who was badly stabbed by 2 men on Tuesday succumbed to his injuries today. The young man, Shaquille Leacock, never regained consciousness and passed away at the Georgetown Hospital while receiving emergency care. He was attacked and stabbed by 2 other young men in the community on Tuesday afternoon. It is unclear what triggered the attack, but an eyewitness told investigators that Leacock was chased down by the 2 youths and brutally stabbed. The mother of the dead young man, Marcia Leacock, said her sons were repeatedly targeted by a gang of youths in the Sophia community.
It's an old grievance caused my son dead during my second son with a girl. And I make he fled the girl and go away and forget about it. And then they started to attack the 2 other brothers and chop them about the bodies. Not the first time. My son have a slash underneath his neck. That's one, he carry 20 stitches behind his neck. Get a board to his back right heart, left heart. Stitch him. He get a bore here underneath here. I take him at, when he get his bore here, I take him at Woodlands Hospital.
The mourning mother said she wants justice for her son's death. She said she had made repeated efforts to get the police to intervene in the matter as her son was being threatened, but there was very little action by the police. Some sad and tragic news to report now. A 54-year-old sluice attendant attached to the MMA ADA and who was working at the Farm Woodlands West Myconi sluice was found crushed to death this morning. Police investigators have identified the dead man as Livorn Stanford McGarrell. He was last seen alive on Wednesday evening when he left his home for work. The man never returned home, and his wife became concerned after repeated calls to his phone went unanswered. This morning, a relative of the man went to the sluice and discovered the body. McGarrell's body was found trapped under the sluice counterweight, and it appeared as though the wire rope which is used to move the 3-ton boulder became loose while the man was operating it, crushing him to death. Several crush injuries were discovered to his head and the rest of his body. The operator's death is also expected to be investigated as a workplace accident. Persons familiar with the operations of the sluice noted that it is recommended that 2 persons are always on duty at the sluice, but in many areas there is only 1 sluice attendant carrying out the duties at various times.
I wonder what you know, man. Jesus. One minute, then. Look like you got the whole of Guyana in your shoulder, boy. But right now, me had speed him, boy. Guess who come last night and disturbed me from me sleep and telling me why she ain't got nowhere to stay and want to stay here? Who? Dulce. Dulce? The sick thing? Yeah.
You mean the smooth red thing?
Yeah, buddy.
You mean Spanish?
Yeah. Mucho español. Mamacita. Buddy, you can listen to me, buddy. Yes, papi.
The play of the year is here. Ronald Hollingsworth brings to you Till I Find a Place in Guyana, the Spanish Connection. June 22 and 23 at the National Cultural Center. Tickets $3,000 and $2,500. Directed by Sharon Cadogan Taylor and Ronald Hollingsworth. Till I Find a Place, the Spanish Connection.
It's that Spanish coming inside, Spanish.
Ramp up your excitement and win the chance of a lifetime with Lucozade Energize Your Drive promotion. Enter to win a fully loaded Toyota CHR or a ton of cash. $500,000 and $250,000 respectively. Just purchase 2 or more Lucozade 360 milliliter at participating outlets. Write your contact details on the back of the receipt and place them in the marked boxes nationwide. It's that simple. And you're on your way to Energize Your Drive with Lucozade. This promotion runs April 12th to June 7th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Exxon Guyana is the authorized distributor of mobile lubricants.
But during last year, it was so nice. Me and them girls had real fun. It's the best party I ever went to. As a big one.
Backed by Popular Demand, Team Extra presents the Bad Birthday. June 22nd, 12 one-man bands running live. Stitchy Fight Machine, Murphy Invasion Band, Love Connection, Genesis, Big B, Cali World Band, Aaron the Entertainer, Honor Smooth, and many more. Early bird tickets at $2,000 at Just You Size Boutique, White Castle Fisher, Fireside Suites, Extra Beer, Starbucks, compliments of Fireside Suites, Extra Energy Drink, and Extra Beer. The Band's Birthday, Saturday, June 22nd at the National Park. Investigators from the Labor Department, the Natural Resources Ministry, and the police are investigating the latest deadly mining accident, which took place on Wednesday in the Region 1 mining area of Arakaka, claiming the life of gold miner Timothy Fraser. Fraser was in the mining pit working when the walls of that pit suddenly collapsed, burying him under the mud and sand. His co-workers rushed to his aid and managed to dig his body out from under the mud. However, it was too late. He was already dead by the time they got to the body. He was removed and taken to the nearby health clinic, where he was officially pronounced dead by a medical personnel. There has been a number of mining pit collapses since the start of this year that have claimed a number of lives in the mining communities. The Ministry of Labor continues to encourage miners and the operators of those mining pits to have proper safety and emergency measures in place. The construction sector and the mining sector are the two leading sectors in Guyana for deadly workplace accidents. Almost 7 months since the brutal murder of 38-year-old accountant Chirumani Anita Tulsi, police investigators have charged a 67-year-old businessman for the woman's murder. The woman was found stabbed to death in her Unity Mahika home with a knife stuck in her neck on the 22nd of November last year. In a statement today, the Guyana Police Force announced that businessman Kemiraj Prasad, called Pandit, was charged today for the murder of the accountant. Prasad appeared this morning in the Mahika Magistrates Court, where the charge was read to him. He was not required to enter a plea to the indictable charge and was remanded to jail. The matter will come up again on the 20th of June. The murder of the accountant had sent shockwaves throughout the East Coast community of Unity in Mahika. The body was found on the floor of the bottom flat of the woman's two-story house, with a piece of cloth stuffed in her mouth in addition to the stab wounds. The murder weapon was also discovered at the scene. She was last seen alive the night before her body was discovered. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal believes the local judiciary is now in a better position to deal with the headache of heavy caseloads, as a number of new initiatives are being introduced. Mr. Nandlal said the backlog of cases in the High Court is now being cleared, while cases at the Magistrates Court level and the Court of Appeal are being disposed of faster. He acknowledged that the sloth and inefficiencies have been regular features in the local judiciary due to a number of factors which have crowded the court system for years. The issue of backlog and long waiting times for trials has been a decades-long problem. Hence, he said a decision was taken to implement various initiatives. The Attorney General said new rules were also designed which attach strict time frames to each case.
That, since implemented from 2016, has reduced the backlog significantly in the High Court. So now you're reading cases that were filed a couple months ago and they are now being concluded. Prior to that, it used to take an average of 6 years, 5 to 6 years, sometimes as much as 10 years to dispose of a case in the High Court.
Mr. Nandlal said constitutional and public law matters which do not require evidence are concluded within months. On the other hand, cases which require evidence and trials are concluded in less than a year and a half. The Attorney General also described the new development as a massive transformation for the local judiciary. He also noted that the increase in manpower has also assisted in the reduction of cases, explaining that the complement of judges at both the High Court and Court of Appeal has been increased to further reduce the caseloads.
So you have 12, the largest complement of judges ever added to an existing status of judges. 12 added one time, and then we have about 5 more who are likely to be appointed at the Court of Appeal. So in 3 months, you will have 12 and 5, 17 additional judges. That must have a monumental impact on efficiency and speed in the judicial system. The third issue that I will add to that complement is the use of technology.
And the introduction of e-courts at the various prison centers across the country has also reduced the timeline for persons awaiting their cases to be heard, the Attorney General said.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors that me crave for. We full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall in the region. The U.S. has been tracking Russian warships and aircraft that are expected to arrive in the Caribbean for a military exercise in the coming weeks, in a Russian show of force as tensions rise over Western military support for Ukraine, U.S. officials said Wednesday. The ships also are expected possibly to make port calls in Venezuela and Cuba as Russia establishes a Western Hemisphere military presence that the senior Biden administration official said was notable but not concerning. The exercise, which will be monitored by the U.S. military, will involve a handful of Russian ships and support vessels, the two officials said. It's not the first time Russia has sent its ships to the Caribbean. This exercise, however, is taking place as Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested that Moscow could take steps elsewhere in the world in response to President Joe Biden's decision to allow Ukraine to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike inside Russia to protect Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city. Maritime labor unions in Argentina announced on Thursday they would cease all activities in ports for 48 hours, but no immediate impacts were seen in the key grain exporting region of Rosario. The United Maritime Workers Union said in a post on Facebook that the tugboat owners' chamber car has refused to negotiate an expired bargaining agreement, prompting the union to halt work. The strike comes at a time of increased activity in Argentine ports in the midst of corn and soybean harvests, the country's two main agricultural products. Despite the move, Argentina's main grain ports around the city of Rosario are still operating normally, the head of CAPYM Port Chamber told Reuters. In light of concerns over potential energy supply shortages, the union had confirmed earlier in the day that tugboats, which guide vessels supplying thermoelectric power plants and liquefied natural gas tankers, would continue operations. The exception was made to prevent additional pressure on the energy sector. Argentina is a key global food exporter, and more than 80% of food shipments leave from the ports located north of Rosario. And finally tonight, international news. Israel hit a Gaza school on Thursday with what it described as a targeted airstrike on up to 30 Hamas fighters inside. And the Hamas official said 40 people were killed, including women and children sheltering at the UN site. According to Reuters, video footage showed Palestinians hauling away bodies and scores of injured in a local hospital after the attack, which took place at a sensitive moment in mediated talks on a ceasefire that would involve releasing hostages held by Hamas and some of the Palestinians held in Israeli jails. The director of the Hamas-run government media office rejected Israel's assertion that the UN school in central Gaza had hidden a Hamas command post. But Israel's military said its fighter jets had carried out a precise strike and circulated satellite photos highlighting two parts of a building where it said the fighters were based. The United States issued a joint statement with other countries calling on Israel and Hamas to make whatever compromises were necessary to finalize a deal after 8 months of war in the Gaza Strip. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.